and welcome to my next episode of how to become Android associate developer. Let me make this smaller. Oop, I don't know why. All right. So let's go to study guides. We have here study guides. And we are still at Android Core. And so what we did toast, we did snack bar, and other previous lessons. We localized our app, talked about application fundamentals, created notifications, talked about Android overview, and next lesson is getting started with Jetpack. So let's click on that. And so what Google wants us to learn is app architecture. And they give us this handy dandy picture with how the app should be constructed. So the first you see is activity. Before that, let me talk about Jetpack, actually, since we at Jetpack right here website. What is Jetpack? Well, let's click on it. Let's see. Jetpack encompasses a collection of Android libraries that incorporate best practices and provide backwards compatibility in your Android apps. So what kind of libraries they're talking about? Let's click on libraries. And here you can see, if you look at the list of libraries they have, they're pretty good libraries that we actually need in everyday app development, such as UI. We're going to be using it a lot. WebKit, if you need to download, not download, but to show a website in our app. What else? Let's see. Room database. It's a must. Recycle view, another must. We have to have that. So Jetpack pretty much has. These are the all libraries they offer, it's a useful library, and besides that they update them more often than anything else, Google. So let's go back to the website, the study guide actually. And so what they're talking about here is app architecture, right? The way they want us to build our app. On top would be activity fragment, which is, if you look at any app, let's say this is activity, and activity is a screen, pretty much app screen. But recently Google came up with Fragment. Fragment is it's kind of a little activity that is independent from. So a fragment could be just, let's say, half of the app. Half of the screen, half of the screen, and then there could be another fragment right here. So fragment is like activity, very similar, but it doesn't take the whole screen. It could be the whole screen, but the main reason to have a fragment is it could be just half the screen, just any size. Okay, so this is the first. Now, if we dig deeper, we can see view model, live data, repository, room, SQLite, remote data source like Retrofit, web service. Now, remember these words: live data, repository, room, SQLite, Retrofit. Here in this lesson, they're not going to tell us how this all works. They do give us code right here. If you go down there, they give us snapshots of of codes, but you can't actually build anything. It just they show you how it looks like. Let's say this one they're talking about. You see, web service, and then here they show you, what is it? View model, live data. So that's how that's how it's going to look like when we work on live data. And my point is, if we go back to study guide and we jump from Android core, jump over user interface, jump to data management, here we're going to be working with Room. Here we're going to be working with a view model, and we're going to work with repository, we're going to work with Room, live data. So here we have to work with that. So far in this lesson we are in what is it? Getting started with Jetpack. They just talking about general how they envision how apps, the best practices, right? How the apps should be structured, and they give us this useful graph, or whatever you call it, picture. So what is it? Let's talk about activity. We just talked about activity fragment. What is live data, and what is view model? What's next? Well, let's just do. Let me put my picture here, and let's do search. So view model. So let's see. There are two words of view model here. Each component depends only on the component one level below it. For example, activity and fragment depend only on view model. And another thing they tell us about view model, doesn't know how, so our profile view model doesn't know how data is fetched. So we can provide the view model with data obtained from several different data fetching implementations. They don't see much about view model here, but how about this? They put it in one word. A view model object provides the data for specific UI component, such as a fragment or activity, and contains data handling business logic to communicate with the model. And they give you example here. Next one is live data. What is live data? Live data. It's actually one word, live data. Live data is an observable data holder. So what live data does, it observes if something changed, right? If something changed, it let the app know. What is next one? Repository. And by the way, just read everything. It takes you 30 minutes. It kind of gives you an idea. You still can implement it. It just, that's why they give it to you, just like preparing you to further lessons. So repository, oh, right there. Here you go. Popped up first thing. Repository models handle data operations. They provide a clean API so that the rest of the app can retrieve this data easily. That's what repository is. And from myself, I would like to add, so when we save data, we save it locally in SQLite, or we can save it or deal with web service, right? Internet, Firebase, blah, blah, blah. A repository actually knows what to do. Repository decides what to do, knows what to do. It deals with everything. We don't have to specifically deal with it because repository does. Then if you split it in web service and local, Room, let's say Room. What is Room? Room is an object mapping library that provides local data persistence with minimal boilerplate code. And then it says, if your app already uses another persistent solution such as SQLite, then it says keep doing it. But if you do a new app use room. So basically, room helps us to save it on your device, the data, and it does it with less code. And then obviously SQLite is that's where it goes. Before it went straight to SQLite, and supposedly, I don't know, supposedly there was a lot of code involved, and now because of room it's more easy. And then so repositories decides to keep it in locally, or maybe using Retrofit, right? What's Retrofit? And web service. Retrofit. Oops. Keeps misspelling it. Let's see. So it says here, for this example, we assume that our backend provides a REST API. We use the Retrofit library to access our backend. So you are free to use any other library, but Retrofit, I mean, I've done nothing with it yet, and just like you, going step by step. And then next one is of course web service, what they see here. So Retrofit supposedly helps us to connect to web service back and forth. Yeah, that's what it is. Just take 30 minutes to read the whole thing. You're not going to be able to use anything, just like I explained to you. Just they give you a code to show you how it looks like. Some of it I've done in other apps, like DAO. That would be the room persistence. So when we say, but we're going to be working on it later. It's this is just if anything you need to remember would be this picture right here, how the app should be constructed from activity to backend or to SQLite right here.